And we are racing here in Singapore. The conditions are as challenging as it gets. A water temperature of 30.3 degrees and an air temperature of 34.7 degrees. This is going to be as brutal and unrelenting as it gets for these athletes. I'm Matt Baker, and alongside me for this one is the 2018 World Triathlon Champion and Olympic and Commonwealth Games medalist, Vicky Holland. Vicky, the T100 is back, and what a location to kick things off.
Oh, Matt, I was sat here as we were doing those call-outs and I was getting goosebumps all over me watching the athletes come down to the start. It is so good to be back, and what a location for it. We've got to start by saying that we're just barely 100 metres into the swim, and already look how far that's strung out. The athlete nearest to camera leading that line is Jess Learmonth, and on the other side is Lucy Charles-Barclay. No surprise at all to see it be those two athletes leading, and I'm sure they're going to make it really hard for the other girls from the very, very first moments. So interestingly there, Flora was talking about trying to get away from the likes of Julie Deron, but right now, the athlete right on her feet is Julie Deron. So that's been a fantastic swim for her.
So they make their way onto the Aussie exit, and yeah, trying to get out as smoothly as possible, not moving all that quickly, because they are, as you would imagine, their heart rate is going to be super high at this point.
That's right, so it was Julie Deron, I think, who made that pack, and I actually also noticed, and that's actually Gentle just jumping in right at the back of that pack, so that is the full pack there. And I noticed that Jess Learmonth took a good look around, and I think she was incredibly surprised to see how many people were there, because she actually said a couple of words to Lucy Charles-Barclay. I didn't catch exactly what they were, but it was definitely surprised to see how many people were there. As we see Julie Deron just moving up past Flora Duffy, as we say, this is a phenomenal swim from Julie Deron. So you really want to sit right on someone's feet, your hand be almost touching their toes as you go into the water.
All right, as they exit the De Boer swim course, they are making their way onto the Aussie exit and out onto the pontoon, and they will try and get their swim skins off as quickly as possible, because you do not want to be running in these amount of layers in this heat.
Yeah, we just saw Julie Deron run past Lucy Charles-Barclay, so she's going to be on a big, big high right now. Jess Learmonth already pouring water over herself as she heads into transition, trying to take on some fluids. Julie Deron right on her heels. Lucy Charles-Barclay in third. Kate Woff there in fourth. And it was Taylor Spivey just coming up the ramp behind her in the purple hat. We'll have a little bit of a gap back to Flora Duffy before we see the rest of our athletes.
Absolutely. So they make their way past the cheering crowds, which is great to see here in Singapore, onto the blue carpet.
In third, we've got Kate Woff, and last, I didn't see Lucy Charles-Barclay here, just putting the ice over her head, something that Sam Laidlow actually invented, getting their swim skin off. You can see they're already struggling under the heat. Taylor Spivey coming in right here. She is just on the tail end, but looks to have a good transition. Choosing to put on her socks first, which is an interesting technique that obviously saves her time in the second transition. And Flora Duffy struggling early on. We did not expect her to be in this position. I mean, again, this is their marginal positions, but this is certainly the biggest pack we've ever seen in T1.
Unless they're overtaking, a bit like Lucy Charles-Barclay is doing now. And you can see the red light flashing there on the back of Julie Deron's bike, indicating she's in the draft zone. She's got 45 seconds to make the pass, and she does it.
And that's why now it is Lucy Charles-Barclay's flashing light that has gone on, because Julie Deron is still within that draft zone, but she has 45 seconds to make sure that she drops back far enough so that she is then not in the draft zone.
Ah, looks like maybe an accident.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Is that Mintu there? Number 20. So yes, that is Mintu Hooker. Oh no, we were so excited to see her race after getting back into racing after such an awful time in 2024 with that devastating car crash that nearly ended her entire career. But the way she's holding her leg there, that would indicate it's more of a cramping issue rather than a crash. I can't see at the moment any broken skin on her. So that's making me think that maybe she's just trying to stretch out some cramp. And that is something that happens in these really hot conditions if you haven't got your fueling right. Ashley Gentle has gone past Julie Deron, and that's really important for how this race could pan out. Those two athletes seem to be incredibly similar on the run at the back end of last season, running really, really similar times. Julie Duron having the better of Ashley once or twice, but Ashley probably being slightly more consistent overall. So now we're in a situation where Ashley is in front of her, and that is another athlete there just going past Julie Duron. I can't quite get eyes on who that is right now. If our pylon is correct, that will be Lisa Pertera. Now it's flashing. That means that she has entered into that draft zone, so we could be about to see an overtake. There we go, Hannah Berry just coming through now. So that was why the light was flashing on the back of Julie Duron's bike. And now that light flashes on the back of Hannah Berry's bike just to show that Julie Duron is currently within that 20-metre draft zone.
Of nutrition, we've got some footage of Jess Learmonth dropping her bottle, I believe. Let's have a look at this. Now looks like it's fallen off accidentally.
Oh.
She didn't go over a bump though, did she?
Strong race so far, doing well ahead of Ash Gentle. I think that's quite remarkable.
That was Flora, I think, just on the side of the road there. So Flora, we spoke about not having the race that she would want at this point, and obviously definitely not having that race now as she's on the side of the course. So we haven't got any confirmation of a official DNF, but being stood on the side of the course is not great.
So we can definitely see an increase in the rain. I probably slightly commentator's curse there when I said we haven't had too much rain. You can hear it on the mic of the camera, and you can definitely see it on the road as well.
Oh, as we're just seeing India Lee on the side of the road, she's having some ice, I believe, put down her suit there.
Singapore not proving lucky for her.
Not at all, is it? No, this is never nice to see an athlete sat with head on hands on the side of the course. She said the motorbike's hot.
So our leader, Jess Learmonth, makes her way into the transition zone.
No mistakes.
Again, we got a little bit of commentary from Jess there as her feet hit the floor. That's just so normal. Cramping, she's saying to someone on the side there, so I think she's probably just starting to feel a little bit sore and tight.
And Kate coming in as well, just off her heels. The distance tells me that she was actually pacing her own race, right? Because she was never close, but she does look a lot more dynamic coming into the transition spot. Just actually having to stand up there thanks to a cramp, I would assume. She seems to have one in her abdominals, and just really trying to manage the workload, and almost feels like Kate has
going to overtake her, I think,
20
right?
seconds just in transition. Oh, another cramp. Yeah, she's cramping everywhere. Oh, poor thing.
Oh, it's horrible to see. Hopefully it's just a temporary thing while she's bending over to put her shoes on. But Kate Woff takes the lead here in Singapore. She's overtaken Jess Learmonth in the transition area, and she will begin this 18-kilometre run in the lead.
Well, we made her our favourite, didn't we? But we didn't probably expect her to do it right out of T2. And she looked so much smoother and in control through T2. She clearly wasn't struggling with any of those cramps that Jess seemed to be almost feeling them everywhere in her body. And as I said earlier, I know Jess has had a little bit of a problem with her calf, so her run's been a bit unknown to her. She hasn't done much running at all in the build-up to this race, trying to just save herself to get out on the course and get through it.
As we see Kate going through the special needs again, getting her own things. And that was the end of the litter zone. Oh no, hang on, that was the bin. This is the end of the litter zone. So it's a very tight area for you to actually consume and then get rid of a bottle. She's looking around. I think she's being smart right now by actually taking a second to slow down. And it's quite a change of intensity, because you could never do that at an Olympic distance race, right? The depth is just so much greater, or let's just say that the difference is that much tighter over a much shorter race. And we're getting shots of Lisa Pertera.
She's taking on everything she can, stopping to get hers, and
Jess struggling, and this is what we were saying. She's had about 3 minutes that she's lost down here.
So Pertera
have the will to find.
That is the face and the body language of someone who is nearly beaten.
A replay here. I think we know where this is going. Oh, in the bin.
Slam dunk.
She seemed a little bit annoyed there.
Yeah.
But
Just hoping she's not having, you know, some real heat episode here. I mean, she's not looking very stable on her feet. She's looking a bit wobbly. So I'm hoping there are people out there keeping their eyes on her. She's drifting right over to the barriers there, really slowing down to douse herself with some fluids. But
And that's Lucy Charles-Barclay just overtaking Jess there, which
that's right, puts Jess into fourth as Lucy Charles-Barclay goes up into third. Now she is moving again through the field, and there we go, Ashley Gentle just making the pass on. Oh, Jess Learmont, and just looked like she was about to stop, but she sort of carried on again. She
felt
still,
the heat of the motorbike coming.
oh yeah, she'll be telling that motorbike to get away from her, I think. But yeah, there we go, another little
she
stopping
does
moment.
stop. I mean, just put us, and sunglasses off. I mean, just put us in the mindset though of Jess now. She's worked so hard to get to this point. She'll be wanting to finish, won't she? So desperately, but her body perhaps is telling her no.
Could really close that gap over this last lap.
Well, these are vital points, aren't they, in the race to Qatar? If you're Lucy Charles-Barclay and you get a third place here, that could be absolutely invaluable later on in the season. We know that they've got to race 5 races this year. You see Lucy, a bit like Kate Woff, taking her time in
Taking a moment,
not in
yeah.
the transition zone, rather, sorry, in the aid station, and making sure, oh, she makes it 2 from 2.
But she doesn't have the energy to celebrate anymore. And you could hear the spectators in the background there. You're looking good, you're almost there. All these little white lies, as I like to call them.
Themselves. There we go. That's it. That's the moment where she knows she is about to win, and she's got to just keep it together for 1 kilometre. But it's so lovely to see that smile.
Enters onto the blue carpet here in Singapore. This has been a tremendous performance from Great Britain's Kate Woff. She's doing high fives with the biggest smile in Singapore right now, right on her face. The applause of everyone as Kate Woff wins the T100 here in Singapore, takes the tape and raises it in the air in celebration. What a performance from Kate Woff, who I think is just starting to understand what she's just achieved. She's very happy to do high fives at this stage in the race. She had a big smile on her face actually in the transition zone as she was going through there, and that smile is right back on the face of the Austrian. Fantastic to see. Lisa Pertera, 2nd place here in Singapore.
She's going to hold on here.
Yeah. It was 2nd last year in Singapore. She's asking for some cheers from the crowd, and they're richly deserved. It's going to be a 3rd place in 2025. A brilliant start to the year for Lucy Charles-Barclay, who will have her sights on the race to Qatar later in the year. She goes over the finish line.
And we can already see in the background Hannah Berry coming in, so fantastic to see Lucy Charles-Barclay back on a podium. She nearly always finishes on the podium when she's in the racing. And Hannah Berry behind her, there we go, what a happy athlete, and I'm just not surprised to see that smile, because this has been another great performance.
So 4th place for Hannah Berry here in Singapore. She can add that to a pretty impressive start to the season. She's got a 2nd place in Geelong. Thank our lucky stars, shall we say, that the race has neared its conclusion in the last few minutes, because that is what is coming to the people down by the bay. But let's take a look at the standings in the race to Qatar after 1 race. And of course, our champion here in Singapore, Kate Woff, at the top. Not far behind, though, is Lisa Pertera of Austria, and Lucy Charles-Barclay rounds off the podium in 3rd. Hannah Berry in 4th with brilliant performance from her, the same as Taylor Spivey in 5th. Ash Gentle, last year's champion, in 6th. Grace Theck in 7th. Amelia Watkinson in 8th. Marlene de Boer in 9th. And Megan McDonald makes up the final spot in 10th. So final word to you, Vicky, on what we've just seen in Singapore. Kate Woff, she's arrived on the T100, hasn't she?
Yeah, I think it is a case of a star is born, don't you? That was an exhibition today in how to race middle distance racing, and not just how to race middle distance racing, but how to do it in extreme conditions. So the day goes to Kate Woff. What a performance from her.